Hey, how's it going everybody? So before I begin this video, I just want to talk really quick about like my sort of absence from the channel. I haven't been gone for that long, obviously, I was still uploading like maybe 2 or 3 videos during the week, I'm not sure. You guys know I always keep you posted on the community tab. So just to kind of make a long story short, basically what ended up happening was I think it's been like what almost a month now or so. Honestly, I'm not really sure, and maybe that's kind of a good thing because I was suffering a lot from like pretty bad chest pains pretty much though. It was like such a weird feeling. I didn't really know what it was exactly though, but it just couldn't go away no matter what I did. So of course, obviously, I went to my doctor. I went to pretty much everyone, whatever they said I was fine. But for some reason, I still felt like crap. Obviously. So of course, I was gonna get scared, and I had like two full panic attacks in the same week. It was one on a Monday and one on a Wednesday, and I was like, okay, no, there's something seriously wrong with me. So of course I went to the hospital, and of course I was perfectly fine. My blood, my X-rays, everything was all good. So basically, what ended up happening was, I had like some inflammation, and of course, from stress, obviously, because you worry about it and all that. So I'm gonna be perfectly fine. I don't got nothing wrong with me. The only bad thing, obviously, is that I had to kind of take it easy a little bit, which is not easy when you're dealing a little bit with the pain, especially when it's in your chest area. But luckily, it's not a heart attack or anything like that. But I mean, it's still scary, because they told me that it's gonna take a couple of weeks for that to go away. That weird sort of achy feeling that you have, so you needed a lot of rest or so. So that's pretty much what's been going on, and I'm gonna do the same thing this week, but obviously, not hopefully by next week things should be okay. Everything should be right back on schedule. So until then, let's continue with what I was going to talk about today, right? So the MCU is in shambles right now, obviously. So as someone who who collects Marvel Legends, talks a lot about Marvel stuff and all that. Okay, maybe not as much as I want, but you get the idea. I think it only makes sense that if I'm going to be talking about the action figures, I might as well also talk about some of the stuff that's going on. So we all know what the MCU is. I don't think I need to really describe and explain it to someone like what's all the fuss and what it's all about, right? So obviously it's a billion-dollar franchise pretty much, although you can't really say that especially with what's been going on right now. Where financially, of course, things hasn't really been doing so well. A lot of weird behind the scenes stuff going on when it comes to like the writers, getting paid. Of course, the CGI artists, they were forced to kind of work with what they got under strict timing, and that's why the CGI in some of the films have been kind of questionable at best. And then of course there's the quality of the film, the timing, and people want to be like, "Oh, the MCU is dead now." And I'm like, "No, you know who hurt the MCU for sure? Disney, because they always gotta be pumping up, Marvel just to kind of." I get that they want to keep the franchise alive and going after Endgame because that was technically sort of the big finale for everything. And even when I talk to some of my friends, I have some of them tell me that for them, the Endgame was kind of the finale. They don't need to watch no more, and I kind of understand. I was like that too at some point. But it's like, I don't know. It's hard for me to really kind of give up on a franchise like that. And some of their movies have been pretty good. It makes me sad that a lot of people want to focus so much on the negative aspects of the MCU, forgetting that we did got some pretty good bangers. I mean, of course, I'm not even going to mention Spider-Man No Way Home with how much of how just big the movie was. Of course, it was like, wow, the fact that they brought back the Toby and Andrew Peters, and it's like, okay, that's interesting, and then of course, who could forget about Wakanda Forever? That was a generally good film, at least for me. I don't know about anybody else. Understandably, that movie was kind of hard to make. Hold up, just try to. So, sorry, because I'm filming this when my batteries are so low, so I do apologize. This video might become a two-parter. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Actually, I should probably check how much batteries do I have just to get a good idea on the timing. 9%. Yeah, that's fun. I probably should have waited a little bit, but it's like, I don't know. I know I could be guys waiting for quite a while, and I don't like to do that. I don't want to fall apart either on the algorithm, or else my channel won't grow. So, so back to what I was saying. Yeah, Wakanda Forever was very tricky because we all know about the issue that happened with, the guy that played Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, he passed away, and it's like it's hard to really replace, him, especially with how iconic his character became. In fact, it kind of affected me in a way because I remember when I was trying to start doing tour reviews, I was like, I'm gonna do a review of Black Panther, and that I still haven't really gone to the review, but hopefully I will. I wanted to review it and stuff like that, but it's like I don't know, I felt so weird about it. I know I shouldn't. That's kind of dumb, but you guys get the idea, right? And then, I mean, I don't know if this is a personal opinion. I don't know. I thought Shang-Chi was fine. I mean, I was surprised when I heard that people apparently didn't really like it, but it's like, at least it's actually one of the more better films in Phase 4 so far. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that pretty much after Endgame was when the MCU was a bit stuck in it was stuck for sure because they got rid of like their most important characters. They didn't get rid of them, but obviously, let's be honest here. I don't think nobody was expecting Iron Man to die. I wasn't. And then Captain America. I mean, he's well, I mean, you get the idea, right? It's very hard to kind of point out who can really lead the MCU from that point. Where a lot of people were hoping maybe Spider Man, but unfortunately, that became a whole other issue with like Disney and then Sony. Where, of course, as we all know, that Sony had the rights to do, Spider Man flicks, and they're still doing that now. The Madam Web trailer came out, and I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. It's hot. It doesn't appeal to me. I don't like the way it looks. Maybe the actual film's better. I don't know. So yeah, you're starting to see why a lot of people start to kind of fall off with MCU and all that. Even though obviously Madam Web is more of a Sony flick, but you get the idea. The superhero genre as a whole has been struggling, but because the internet is the internet, that there's gonna be plenty of people that are gonna exaggerate the hell out of the situation. Though I mean, even I think it's so ridiculous to where it also seems like too that a lot of people had just straight up given up, like no more chances and all that. They just pretty much want these movies to die out. Although I mean I don't want to defend it, but I'm over here saying it's hard to really give up on something so big like this, especially when it created such a huge fan base, a huge franchise. A lot of these actors, of course, they get to explore the Marvel universe and all that. So does the audience. You get to learn a lot. The movies, at least in my case, are also what kind of got me back into the comics to a degree, because I know that the comics are that's a whole other situation that we could talk about for all other video, but you get the idea. The MCU, I feel bad. But the reason why I'm not so picky or as upset as many other people are, it's mostly because, I mean, this is not the first time that the superhero genre has been struggling a lot, especially when it comes to like trying to reach the audience and their revenue. I mean, we could count like countless films that have struggled and kind of affected everything. I mean, who can remember Superman 4: The Quest for Peace? Remember when that flick was such a huge disaster? It pretty much canceled Superman 5, and that was back in like what the 80s or so. I'm trying to remember the proper timing, but you guys get the idea. And then of course you got Batman Returns, despite it being a great sequel to Batman, it's studios, and then the people complaining, they thought they knew better. So then the next entry, it was dumbed down. Even though a lot of people actually regard Batman Forever as pretty good, even though I have different opinions on it. Yeah, pretty much the film after that, Batman Robin is one thing, starts to kind of tank, and then the heck, you even got characters like Spawn, which, I mean, he's not a superhero, he's more of an anti-hero, but you get the idea. His movie, back in like, I think, 1997, don't quote me on that, I don't know, I hope I got that right. Yeah, that also became a pretty huge debatable one, and of course, obviously, the genre itself was pretty stuck. Think about it. We either got superhero movies that were big bangers, or we get a lot that was just like pretty hot garbage, or at least some of them were just kind of forgettable. Remember when X-Men was doing pretty good for the last few films, like when they first started, and then when it came to the third one, it started to kind of fell off. Even though I thought the third one was fine, I never really had any issues with it. But obviously, then you got X-Men Origins, Wolverine, and then we all know what happened there. DC, obviously, of course, they're not out of the woods either. Don't get me wrong; they haven't been doing so well themselves. I would argue that they've a little bit more worse, but then again, I want to talk about specifically the MCU and just kind of give my last words on it. Uh, the point that I'm trying to make is that this is not the first time that this genre has struggled, especially, both financially, and then of course with the fan base, feedback, actors, kind of in and out, some of them, it's like, there was that weird controversy not too long ago that Robert Downey Jr. might return as Iron Man, and honestly, I hope that that doesn't happen, unless it's Secret Wars, and that's different, obviously, because of the storyline in the comic books. As you can see, there seems to be no right way of enjoying these films for sure. if you see some hot garbage, yeah, you could comment on it. But I just feel like a lot of people, we've gone to the point where it's like, making fake videos and stuff like that, kind of like calling out some actors and actresses that like had nothing to really do with the issues and all that. That I want to talk more about in part two, only because I didn't charge my phone enough to continue talking, because of course I gotta talk about the Marvel situation that happened where I don't want to drop any names. That I'm gonna save for sure for part two, where when you're saying lies and talking crap about I can't pronounce her name. I can't think. You get the idea though. We've gotten pretty much that far down to the point where people are pretty much making lies, and especially the Variety magazine, which was pretty much not a magazine, but you get the point. Variety did like a hit piece on Marvel, talking about how they were like really really struggling pretty much, and it's like, oh, they're on a downward spiral. They're gonna disappear and all that, and there's a lot more to it, but a lot of it was just based off of lies, and the person who made the article has been known for being a pathological liar. But then you get people that still believe in it anyway. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I know that things aren't really doing so well, especially with the MCU. Don't get me wrong. The DCEU fell off for sure. That, I don't know, has pretty much desecrated. I mean, Aquaman, this Aquaman Lost Kingdom, hopefully, it does at least okay, but, if not, I don't know about that. Hopefully with James Gunn on the helm for DC, hopefully things will be okay. The MCU, I think they will recover, for sure, because they did say that they're going to take their time, which I think is great. But there's still a lot more to the story, and I honestly, I can't really fill it all in one video. Not because I don't want to, but because I didn't charge my phone, to make this video long enough. My phone's gonna die, so I'm gonna have to, you know what I mean? So I do apologize for that. And, I want to kind of like return and let you guys know that I'm doing okay, even though I'm still a little bit like, a little bit over the, but I'll be fine. I'll be good. So hopefully tomorrow, maybe, I don't know, because I gotta upload the next, playthrough and all that. So that might be Thursday. I'm not sure, because Wednesday is another toy review. So until then, thank you guys for kind of watching, for staying tuned, and that's about it. So take it easy. Peace.